novels are an interesting genre in video games. I'm a fan of visual novels because I like games with heavy dialogue and the ability to really immerse you into the story, but I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. When recommending visual novels to people just being introduced to them, people usually recommend ones that deviate from typical archetypes that are commonly found in them. And for good reason, one of them is Katawa Shoujo. This game took me a long time to finish because I had so many other games in my log, so it was sort of an on and off game for me. Now that I've finished all the routes, I'll be talking about all 6 of them. Yes, 6. I'm including Kenji. But first, let's talk more generally about the game. The concept of this game started being developed by a group of people on 4chan. Yes, that's right, 4chan. The idea kicked off from a doujin and a group came together. There were tons of ideas and inspirations shared across boards. Eventually, Katawa Shoujo was released in 2012. The game is a twist on the standard school format. In this game, Yamaku Academy is a school that accommodates for students with various disabilities. Our protagonist Hisao has a heart condition, where he has to regulate and not overexert his condition. Thus, this lands him in Yamaku Academy. The game definitely had an impact. To this day, people still regard this game as a must-play visual novel, which is impressive considering that not only was this game not made in Japan, but the studio that made it was formed from a 4chan board. It's a game that touched a lot of people because of its message, and it went on to have a long-lasting and passionate community with a lot of discussion on forums on the internet. The premise of this game is already unique, but what really makes this game special is the characters and themes themselves. This isn't without the help of the aesthetics, though. The backgrounds in this game are based on actual areas in real life and are designed to replicate them. It creates a really interesting atmosphere, being in an anime style with some realism. I really do like the background art a lot. I especially like this one, with the small market shop in the dark with the dim, but bright lights. Something about it, combined with the Japanese-like shape of the buildings in the background, just makes it feel like a cozy, small area in a big Japanese district at night. It's like the ones you see in slice of life anime, or like Love Plus for the 7 people in existence that have played that game. It really encapsulates the high school visual novel in a new cozy town feel. There are more of these pretty backgrounds throughout the game, like the city, the rooms, the nature, you get the idea. I'm a sucker for pretty backgrounds like these. The game is complemented by a great soundtrack as well. Each individual song is memorable and iconic. They range from happy to relaxing to romantic to sorrowful to heartbreaking. Even the main menu theme is a beautiful masterpiece of a song. The happy and relaxing ones complement the mood and atmosphere the game is trying to set within its location, and just really sound nice with what's going on in the game. It even sounds a bit nostalgic. The sad ones, though, they hurt. We all know how anime just has a way of making the saddest songs and making them hit at the right moments. This visual novel is no exception. They make already sad scenes even sadder through the sheer weight of the songs, making you feel like you failed to accomplish something, or that you let someone down. And then, when you finally fix the problem, you're met with a bittersweet tune, the aftermath, the calm after the storm. The sadness is still there, but it's less overwhelming, and the storm starts to clear up. I don't know how else to describe it, other than it's perfect. Katawa Shoujo just knows how to bring out emotion. The actual photos and character portraits are nice as well. The portraits and UI designs feel a little rough around the edges, but I think this actually works in the game's favor. It makes it feel more imperfect, but in a good way, and it works with the aesthetic and message the game is trying to tell. And of course, the cutscene before each girl's roots are excellent as well. Of course, there's the actual game itself. Hisao is a struggling pessimist who's struggling with his new circumstances and is trying to make the best of his situation. However, he meets new people, and depending on the route you choose, his life is changed in various ways as he learns to love and accept more people into his life. In Act 1, you get introduced to the characters and make choices to determine your route. As you get to know the girls, it culminates in a school festival where you become good friends with them and begin their story. The first character is Kenji. I know he's technically not an official route, but I still want to talk about him anyways. So during my first playthrough of the game, I actually got the bad ending in Act 1 where you die on the school rooftop drinking with Kenji. So I guess in a way, my first route in this game was with Kenji. Kenji is a closeted student who's terrified of feminists. In almost all the conversations you have with him, he's bringing up conspiracies about how the feminist organization is plotting to take over the world. He's always taking precautions and warns Hisao about the hypothetical scenario. At times he can be pretty calm and nice to you, while at other times he'll be disappointed in you while going on a rant about something. He had a girlfriend in the past, but things didn't work out, so now he's developing a bit of a fear towards feminism and the supposed agenda. It's pretty clear that Kenji is meant to satirize people who think like him, and is, funny enough, most likely inspired by 4chan users. He's mostly in the game to serve as a comic relief, but he does have some occasional good advice for Hisao, and advances the plot sometimes. Overall, he's a passionate and closeted person who is there to make conversations more interesting and is a decent friend for Hisao. There's not much more to say about him. The first technical character is Emi. Emi is an athletic runner on the track team. She lost her legs in a car accident and uses prosthetic legs. She's cheerful and happy, which contrasts with Hisao's more calm personality. She's one of the fastest players on the team, and she works hard. Once Hisao meets her, she starts inviting him to practice with her. Throughout the game, you learn about her struggles with the nurse, her friendship with Rin, and her personality and circumstances. Like everyone else in the school, she's learning how to live with her difficult circumstances. Once Hisao and Emi start dating, Emi doesn't tell Hisao about all the stuff she's been through. Hisao can tell something is wrong, but Emi is hesitant to tell him. As a result, they begin to feel more distant. Later on, Hisao goes to Emi's house and meets the best woman in the game, Emi's mom. Hisao starts to learn about Emi's past and how she's still struggling with the loss of her dad. After thinking it through, Hisao and Emi begin to understand that they can support each other with their issues. Her story ends with Emi visiting her father's grave and them both coming to terms with their lives. Emi's story is probably the one that most people played through first. It's a touching story. Emi kept her feelings to herself and didn't want others to know about her pain, using her playful personality as a distraction. Once she lets Hisao into her life, she's eventually convinced that it's okay to tell people about her struggles, and she is able to open up about her problems. She's satisfied with being together with Hisao and living the rest of her life with them. The next character is Hanako. Hanako is a shy girl who is passionate about reading and chess. She tends to get nervous when talking to people she's never met, but is more comfortable around people she knows, like her friend Lily. Hanako suffered burn scars from a fire that burned down her house. Hisao befriends Hanako and gets to know her better. Through Hisao's experience, we learn that Hanako is kind to pretty much everyone she meets, but she's very anxious in social situations. Hanako starts to stop going to school and starts staying in her room more and more. Eventually, Lily has to leave for some time. Lily is someone that's very close to Hanako, and she's someone that Hanako can rely on, so Lily leaving shakes her up a bit. Before she leaves though, Akira, Lily's sister, Lily, Hanako, and Hisao all go to a bar to play billiards. Bringing up the aesthetics from earlier, this scene is definitely a great example. I love the dark streets with lights as well as the cozy atmosphere of the billiards area. Hisao is becoming increasingly worried about Hanako and he calls Lily and asks her for advice. Hisao decides to confront Hanako and they both learn about each other's scars. The next day, Hisao asks Hanako to meet him at a park to talk, but he's afraid that she won't come. However, she does, and she admits that she was scared that Hisao wouldn't want to be friends with her anymore. She was insecure about losing friends and felt that she wasn't doing good enough. When she breaks down crying, Hisao comforts her and lets her know that he cares. Throughout the story, Hanako starts becoming more and more comfortable with their past and talking with people. Her issues with self-confidence aren't completely resolved, but she starts taking steps to allow the people around her to understand her more and is able to love Hisao. After Hanako, we have Lily. Lily is a mature and almost motherly-like girl. She's blind and uses the assistance of Hanako sometimes. She's able to let her guard down a bit when she's around the people she's close with. She's not on good terms with her parents from Scotland. Throughout her story, Hisao spends time getting to know her and spending time in a room playing chess and drinking tea with her and Hanako. He learns that Lily and Shizune are both related but not on good terms. While going shopping for a present for Hanako's birthday, they buy a music box. Lily eventually has to leave for some time to Scotland. When she returns, Lily, Hanako, and Hisao all go to Lily's family home. After Hisao suffers an injury because of his heart, he and Lily begin to like each other. So again, I'd like to mention a scene with the great aesthetic. Lily and Hisao go out for dinner. The music choice along with the background is just really nice, especially with the red velvet color. Later on though, Hisao learns from Akira's parents that Lily's parents want both of them to move to Scotland for a job opportunity. Once Hisao learns that Lily is planning to go, he breaks. Both of them clearly don't want to leave each other. Hisao has an epic anime moment and runs to the airport to stop her from leaving. He goes to Shizune's family home, but Hideaki, Shizune's brother, tells him that she's already left. He takes a taxi, races through the airport, but his heart issues catch up to him, and he collapses just as he's about to reach Akira and Lily. He's then woken up in a hospital bed by the sound of the music box they bought earlier. Lily greets him and they reconcile. Lily decides to stay and we get an epilogue scene of Lily and Hisao in an open field. Lily didn't suffer a major tragedy like the other characters, but that doesn't mean her story isn't great. Being considered the mature person, she constantly felt like she needed to be the one in charge, but as she gets to know Hisao, she's slowly able to be more relaxed. She feels more confident in making her own choices by staying in Japan instead of doing what her parents want. She realizes that she's allowed to choose what she feels is right for her, and chooses to be with Hisao. The next character is Rin. Rin doesn't have arms, so she mostly uses her feet as a means of completing tasks. She's a talented artist who has interesting beliefs. Rin isn't concerned about what other people think of her and mostly just says whatever she feels like. She doesn't express anything strongly and is mostly a calm person. Due to this, she isn't always able to discern how people are feeling. During the story, Hisao becomes acquainted with her and they slowly begin to get to know each other. They have discussions about art, and Rin brings up things like she's only able to have 4 thoughts at a time and expresses what she thinks the point of art is. Beginning her route, Hisao joins the art club with her because of the recommendation from the art teacher Nomiya, and they get to work together. Occasionally, Emi, Rin, and Hisao all lay down on the school rooftop to relax or eat. Hisao learns that Rin doesn't take school seriously, but she's very talented. Really, just look at her artwork. Nomiya tells Rin that there's an opportunity for her to have her artwork showcased, but Rin is hesitant. When talking about it with Hisao, she says that she's worried because art is essentially her way of capturing the past and a representation of who she is, and she doesn't want that to be shown to the public. Hisao eventually says that Rin is his friend, and Rin decides to showcase her artwork. Rin fully commits to working at a studio, and she doesn't want to be distracted by Hisao. Eventually, Hisao takes her outside on a walk to talk to her. Later on, Hisao realizes that he loves her, but with Rin's personality and her dedication to working, he wonders if it'll work out. Eventually, he has an outburst at Rin, saying that she's not treating him like a real human being. At the gallery, Rin is overwhelmed with all the people and goes outside with Hisao. Rin feels like she's throwing everything away, but at the same time, she isn't able to discern how others are feeling. Nomiya scolds her and Hisao comforts her. In the ending, they confess their love, and it ends on a note that feels like there's still more, with Rin and Hisao learning to accept each other. Rin is probably one of the more interesting characters. Due to her personality, a lot of the people around her aren't able to talk with her and get mad at her. To me, it seems like a lot of the people, especially Nomiya, were refusing to understand what kind of person she was and refused to let her be herself. Rin is someone who struggles with people, and art is the best way she has to express herself. However, she wants to do things in her own way. After the ending with Hisao, she becomes happier with herself and her future. The final route is Shizune, but it also includes a lot of Misha, so I'll talk about them both. Shizune is deaf and uses sign language to communicate. She's very assertive when it comes to things she cares about and is a competitive person. Misha is very expressive and could be described as over the top. She's good friends with Shizune and likes to tease people. Hisao gets to know the duo, and he reluctantly joins the student council team to help them. They become natural friends, and they spend time preparing for the festival. On the rooftop, Hisao has a small spark in his heart when he sees Shizune. So back to the aesthetics, this is another one of those scenes that I like. The rooftop overlooking the town with the fireworks is a nice sight. With the help of Misha, Hisao begins to learn sign language to understand Shizune better. In the next festival, Shizune and Hisao both agree to date each other in a bit of an anticlimactic way. Not that that's a bad thing. Hisao, Shizune, and Misha all go to Shizune's family home. Hisao meets Jigoro, Shizune's athletic and easily irritated father. Hisao gets to know more about Hideaki. Lily and Akira are also there, and they go on a fishing trip. Hisao learns more about Shizune's family and why she's so competitive. When they go back to Yamaku, Misha wants Hisao to comfort her, but he refuses. The next day, Misha admits that she felt that she wasn't close enough to Shizune and she was growing jealous. Shizune, Misha, and Hisao all attempt to repair their relationship, but with the student council members having to depart, they all feel a bit more distant. However, after talking things over, they both learn about what they want to do, and in the future, they feel like they can reunite. And that brings us to the end of the route, and the end of the game. Let's talk about Misha first. Misha's feelings, while not good, are realistic. She felt that Hisao was getting too close to Shizune and got jealous. I think she's an accurate portrayal of jealousy. Shizune was someone who wanted to try to care for the people around her and realize what she wanted to be. As she gets to know Hisao, she slowly begins to start appreciating the people around her more, as well as understanding her friends that she previously struggled with due to her competitive personality. While this isn't a route, I think it's very well worth talking about the protagonist Hisao, because there's a lot of things going on with him as well. After being confessed to by his classmate Iwanako, he collapses from his heart problems. During his time in the hospital, Iwanako visits frequently. However, she starts to come less and less and eventually stops coming altogether. After this, he's asked to attend Yamaku Academy, a school that accommodates for students with disabilities. Hisao is upset that he not only has to deal with his heart issues, but has to leave his past behind him as well. As a result, he becomes a bit pessimistic and cynical. However, as he meets the girls, he slowly starts to understand himself, others, and breaks out of his shell. He has a lot of interesting dialogue as well. This is partly due to, surprisingly, Kenji. Kenji in a way helps Hisao understand himself better. In each route he receives a letter from Iwanako, and in each route he believes that she's only writing the letter for closure and has no intent on writing back to her. However, in Shizune's route, Kenji finds out about this. Kenji encourages him to write back to her. If my memory serves me right, it's left unstated on whether he wrote back or not. I kinda wish that there was more done with Iwanako, or maybe I'm just missing the point, since Hisao is trying to accept that the past is in the past. I think that his story about learning to accept his past and move on, learning to love the people he's around, is equally as touching. Some minor side characters to mention. Akira is a pretty cool older sister. The way her characters has both similarities and contrasts to Lily is interesting to see. I also wish there was more explored with Miki, the girl on the track team. The nurse was a pretty cool character and assists Hisao and Emi. Muto wasn't perfect, but I liked his interactions with Hisao. It's cool to see that he genuinely cared about Hisao and wanted him to succeed. And Yuko, the school librarian, was also pretty cool. And that about wraps up the story of Katawa Shoujo. Some routes were better than others, but I think it's pretty impressive that they all managed to have such good quality, especially considering how difficult development was. You may have noticed that the game is more about the girls and their stories and problems itself, not just their disabilities, and that's the point. The game shows that they're more than their disabilities. This quote right here that I found by an anonymous user puts it best. Their disabilities don't make them any less, and it shows how they have struggles, dreams, just like you. And it does it in such a wholesome way. The game is just really wholesome overall, and seeing the characters with their individual and unique struggles is just really touching. You see them accept their circumstances and deal with their emotional baggage, and it's a really beautiful story. They learn to understand themselves and other people better because of the journey that they went through. I think it's a really heartfelt game about these teenagers who are learning to love in such a messy world.